Welcome to the HR Fix, the HR podcast for HR professionals who want to grow and be the best. I'm Judith, Fiddler, and I'll be your host. So come and join us on our journey as we change an entire industry. Come on, let's get started. There is a HR concept that I am calling a HR front. And it's come from the fact that I speak to so many people. I do so many audits. I go into these big, large companies and I could be meeting people all day, every day in HR. And I'm having a perfectly pleasant conversation with a HR professional and people who know what they're talking about. They know their stuff. They've been doing the right things. They have the right experience in the right way. And they understand common sense and they understand HR operating system, but they put up a front. And I'm having perfectly pleasant conversations with them. And then they'll review their work or then they'll ask me for some help. And I see an invite letter or how they were in a meeting or an outcome or something, investigations, anything. And they're a totally different person. And I'm like, wait, what? This is the person that I'm speaking to now is the person who's been writing this and this person in this hearing. And so why are you a totally different person? Well, it doesn't make any sense. Your attitude is different. Your manner, your language, you're talking about herewith, therefore, hitherto, forever after, all of these sorts of things. You're using different language, using different rapport building skills. Like you put on this front. You literally walk into a meeting like it's showtime and you become confrontational or passive aggressive, even though you don't know you're doing it. So many people do this inside of HR, and it's a bit like the Wizard of Oz. And we want to remove the curtain. Remember the Wizard of Oz when they turn around and they remove that? I think it was green, the green curtain, and there's this little guy with this big organ, and he's like powering this big voice. And that is, we want to make HR more approachable. We want us to be more normal. It's a more natural conversation. We need to remove this facade, this Wizard of Oz profile that we're bigger than we're supposed to be and that we have more control. We're not. We don't have any control. We don't have any of these things. We're just there asking questions on behalf of an organization in a position that says, help me, help you. We want to be sitting there and we want to understand what is the employee saying. And we can't do that if we have this front, if we have this facade. If we're playing this game, if we're using long words that we don't even understand, we don't even know why they're there. And this is part of the problem that I see that needs fixing inside of HR. This is how we can change the world. I see the world. This is how we can change the industry, and this is how we're going to change our mindset. I see so many times HR professionals who are so entrenched in their position that even when it doesn't make sense, even when there is no reason why they should be sticking to their positioning, had very recently with a case of flexible working that actually wasn't a flexible working request and it was a change of terms. And yeah, it was really obvious why it was one and not the other. And the employee was pointing out, I suspect the employee had legal advice, but why the employee was pointing this out. And the HR professor was saying, no, this can't be. This is no. And it was beyond common sense. It didn't make sense why they were sticking to their position that the way they were, but because of this facade, because of this front, because they felt that if I back down now, that means I don't know what I'm doing. It means I look like I'm not in control, and therefore I can't do that, even though common sense dictated otherwise, even though common sense said, stop what you're doing, regroup, even apologize if that's necessary, and stop the risk of this growing into something that it really isn't. And there's three things that I wanted to say about where we go to for help, because we all need help. We can't do this on our own. And the front that we're putting on is because we're scared, because we're underconfident, because we don't necessarily know what we're doing. And I'm saying there's three places to go. And during a process, the two places that you need to go during a process to get help and support are really obvious and really easy, but we don't do it. And maybe we don't do it because of this front. I don't know. But the fact is we don't do it. The first place that we go, if we have a problem with the situation, with the issues that are coming out that we don't understand, that we need to move forward, the first place that we go is the employee. If we don't know how to move forward, we don't have an understanding of why something has happened or the way it's happened or how that's going to have an effect on different things. And therefore, we don't know how to move forward. We don't know maybe it's a redundancy or if it's this situation or there's misconduct or there's an illness or there's a problem. Before we can even do a strategy, we need to go to the employee. That is just, and most people won't do that because they think it shows that they're out of control. That's not what it is. The second place that we need to go inside of a process, once it's already started, is the employer. And the reason we go to the employer is if we've not understood our instructions properly. So if we have what we call inside of our membership, we are the victim of a dump and drop. We've been told, go do this, go and do it now. And then we've got into a bit more and other things have come out. And actually what we've been told isn't quite true. Something's happened, there's contradictory evidence. Then we go to the employer. So in the first case, if there's a problem, we go to the employee. In the second place, if there's a problem with the instructions or with what we're being asked to do, we go to the employer or the person who's instructed. So it could be a manager, it doesn't necessarily need to be an employer. But then the other place that we'll go is before the strategy starts. We're not even in the process yet. And that's when we go to outsource people. That's when we go to people that we trust. That's when we have to go to people to run past our strategy to say, wait, am I thinking along the lines? Is this right? Is this wrong? If you wait, if you don't do that and you're wanting to get advice afterwards, then the chances are that you have done the wrong investigation, that you have had the wrong allegations, that you've drafted the wrong issues, that you're literally looking at, you can't possibly succeed in a matter or have a successful process if you started off on the wrong foot. So if you've drafted the wrong allegations, there aren't enough allegations, or even if there's too many allegations, they're drafted in the wrong way, what we call void for lack of specificity, then that is a problem. That is when you need to go and get yourself checked. That's when your strategy needs to be checked at the outset, at the initially, before you start a process. But inside the process, the two people you need to go to for help aren't probably anybody external, aren't other investigations or other witnesses. It's going to be down to the employee and the employer. Those are the three places. That is how we're going to remove the curtain. That is how we remove the facade and the fear. People have got a genuine fear for genuine reasons of HR, and I completely understand that. But it's because of these attitudes. And even when you don't think that you're putting on a facade, it's worth just going back and checking to say, hang on a second, how am I coming across? I'm saying that I'm good at building rapport, but am I really? How have I been understood? How has my messaging been? And even if you're in one of the worst situations you can be in as a HR professional is you're in a disciplinary process, there's a trade union there, maybe the employee's getting aggressive with you, maybe it's the trade union rep that's getting aggressive with you, and you can't fight back. We talk about HR being odd inside of our bootcamp, and HR is odd. Normally, if you're having a fight with someone in the street and they're having a go at you, you'll have a go back. If you're having a fight with one of your friends or your husband or your wife, whoever it might be, and you're having a fight with them, they're picking on you, you're going to be picking on them. That's just normal. That's human nature. But that cannot happen, especially inside of a disciplinary hearing. An employee is allowed to feel aggrieved and frustrated and annoyed, and all of those things are natural and normal. We're putting them into stress. They might be fighting for their jobs. They're certainly fighting for a clean record. They might be giving, there's a risk of them getting a verbal warning, first warning, final, whatever it is. We're putting them under pressure. They have to answer these questions. So if they start being emotional, they start being aggressive or confrontational, that's going to be entirely expected. We can't fight back. But to go and fight back and to put on this facade, to be someone that we're not, to start using language or bullying behavior, even if it's being passive aggressive, we don't necessarily know that we're doing it. We need to keep a check on that. We need to keep a lid on that. We need to understand what it is that we're doing and how that's coming across, how that's being perceived, because perception is going to be more important than reality. If we say in the witness box, we find ourselves in a witness box or even in our managing director's boardroom, reporting to the CEO, and they said, actually, there's an allegation that you were aggressive in this meeting. And we go, no, that wasn't the reality. And we're genuine and we're honest about that wasn't the reality. That wasn't what happened. But that's the perception. Then that is the reality. So we have to be mindful of how we're coming across, the language we're using, the rapport skills that we've got, the timing of things, the ability to let people speak, not to be speaking over them, not to be speaking about our own personal issues, not to be getting involved, not to get emotional ever, not to be reacting to when other people are emotional. All of these sorts of things, we need to keep an eye on all these sorts of things because they're so important to the way that we are doing our jobs inside of HR. I hope that makes sense. Have a great day. Happy HRing.